Thank you for joining us for Mobility Matters here on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube, streaming directly from Community News Network on Miami Community Newspapers' social media platforms. Now, this bi-weekly live stream show covers transportation topics of interest presented by the CITT. Now, that stands for Citizens Independent Transportation Trust, the organization overseeing the use of the half-penny sales surtax in Miami-Dade County. I'm Cheryl Mizell, CITT Ambassador Program Coordinator, and in for your regular host, Javier Betancourt, the Director of CITT. Now, some of you may recognize my name and voice from my time in radio, or not, but now you can find me here on Mobility Matters in the rotation as the alternate host, keeping you informed about the CITT Ambassador volunteers who ride transit regularly and use a mobile app to give us feedback about their experiences and observations in exchange for rewards. Now, if that sounds interesting to you, you'll be happy to know that I have as my very first guest on Mobility Matters the co-founder of the company that created our mobile app, Velocia. Meet Eldridge Birmingham, PhD, who is also known to us as Biff. Thank you so much, Biff, for being my very first guest.
Great to be here, Cheryl. Really pleased to be partnering with CITT, with you, Javier, Carla, and the rest of the team. It's a wonderful opportunity for us. Thank you.
And it's a pleasure to work with you. So before we get started with the interview, I want to invite you, the viewers, to visit our webpage at miamidade.gov/CITT-ambassador. Again, that's miamidade.gov/CITT-ambassador. Or you can just take a picture of that QR code that's sitting up on your screen, and it'll take you right to the page. And then you can follow along with us and actually sign up today to learn more about how to become a CITT ambassador when the program is officially launched. We also want to encourage you to reach out to your friends, your family, your colleagues, to use public transportation 3 or more times a week and ask them to watch this show with you today. Okay? Great. So let me tell you a little bit about what's going to happen today in my conversation with Dr. Birmingham, as I said, also known as Biff. We're going to learn about his background. We're going to learn about how the Velocia app got started, which is very interesting, how it works with our CITT Ambassador Program to help improve public transportation, and how you, the viewer, can become a CITT ambassador. So, Biff, let's get started by you telling us a little bit about your background.
Sure, that was a great introduction. Thank you so much, Cheryl. Yeah, so as Cheryl indicated, I'm called Biff. Grew up outside of Pittsburgh, went away to college, Cornell University, became interested in biology, particularly evolutionary biology, went on for my PhD, got my PhD, and then went to work for the Smithsonian Institution and worked for the Smithsonian for 25 years, first as a research scientist and then as the director of the Tropical Research Institute in Panama. I was then invited to come to Miami by the Frost family as they put their name on the new Science Museum in Miami on Biscayne Bay, built the new building. Hope many of you have been there before. So I was the founding chief scientist for the Frost Science Museum. Really came up here because I was interested in, interested in how we use museums to better educate the public around climate change. Not the politics of climate change, but the science of climate change. And I really thought and continue to believe that Miami is the best place in the world to have a museum that talks about the science of climate change. After we opened, I was asked by the Foray family to work with them and somebody named Salim Ismail to think more broadly about how, particularly in the transportation sector movement, how we do better, how we decrease carbon emissions, how we decrease heat potential in urban areas. Again, using Miami, not only for Miami, but as a model for both North America and Central and South America. Really, it was Mayor Ferre who recognized that Miami really has a very particular geographic and cultural placement to speak to the world about things like climate change. So they invited me to work with them on how we could help at that time Mayor Jimenez think about transportation in Miami-Dade. It was Mayor Ferre, years before, who as mayor of Miami recognized the tremendous economic opportunities that Miami had as a bridge to Latin America. But he always recognized that that bridge became fundamentally important as thought about transportation. He instituted a lot of the flower trade with South America, recognizing that Miami International Airport was a tremendous resource for the people of Miami-Dade. And he used that, excuse me, I've got a frog, as a springboard into transportation more generally. So we worked with Mayor Jimenez to think about what are the things that government can do to promote better practices around movement. So obviously government spends tremendous amounts of money on infrastructure, but you're always building for the future. And you're never quite sure what that future is going to bring, particularly here in Miami. Is it going to be completion of all the different plans we have, or is Elon Musk going to move in with a hyperloop? You just never know what's coming. And so what we did, Salim Ismail, Maurice Ferre, the mayor's son, Mayor Ferre, and Mayor Jimenez, is thought about, well, with the tremendous changes going on in technology, was there a way to use technology to improve the way we move? So we ran a competition, had people from all over the world coming in and discussing over a 16-week period, we call them sprints, what could we do to move people around Miami-Dade faster, more efficiently, less carbon emissions, less heat, et cetera. And the winning idea was a reward program. Can we reward people for changing their movements? In other words, can we use a carrot rather than a stick to get people to move more efficiently, better, et cetera? So out of that, the winning idea, again, was a rewards idea. And then the question became, well, who is going to run that rewards program? So Salim Ismail, who runs the Fast Track Institute, which was a sponsor for the competition, came to me. He said, instead of just starting from scratch, let's look around and see what's out there already rewarding people for movement. And so Salim found Velocia, a company out of Toronto led by David Winterstein, encouraged me to reach out to David and asked David if he might be interested in taking advantage of what we'd learned in Miami to develop an app that the people of Miami-Dade could use to think about the way they move. So David and I spent 3 months going back and forth, figuring out how this might work. Ultimately, Velocia decided that they would pioneer a program in Miami-Dade. David then asked me if I would join the company as a co-founder. I said, sure, I'd be happy to. I know Miami. And on December 5th, 2019, Velocia was formally launched by Mayor Jimenez, and we were off to the races. It's been interesting, and we'll get into that, particularly with reference to CITT, but obviously within a year after going live in Miami-Dade, we had the pandemic upon us.
Yes.
And the pandemic was a challenge for many companies, ours included. However, we have a very strong working relationship with Miami-Dade County, particularly the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure. And we work very closely with initially Alice Bravo, but continuously with Carlos Cruz Casas. And through that, the mayor at that point, we'd switch mayors, and we had Mayor Levine Cava. And they came to us and they said, okay, we've got a challenge with principally Metrobus. To help beat COVID, we're asking everybody to mask up. That was fairly easy, but we rewarded people for masking up. But we've also asked people to socially distance. And on a bus, that's not easy.
Not at all.
Unless you cut back the number of seats you have available, which the county decided to do. And Metrobus drivers very quickly recognized that they were leaving a lot of people behind. So Carlos came to Velocia and said, what can we do to solve this problem? And so Carlos has always been a tremendous advocate for multimodal mobility. In other words, can you walk? Can you hop on a scooter? Can you hop on a bike? Can you do anything to make it so we're more efficiently moving around Miami-Dade? So we decided to develop a reward program where we encourage people, first of all, if you didn't absolutely have to get on the bus, particularly from 6:30 to 8:30 in the morning and 3:30 to 5:30 in the afternoon, don't. Relinquish that seat to an essential worker, somebody who's getting to Publix or getting to a drugstore, somebody who has to work and is on a fixed clock.
Did you get good cooperation from?
We got very good cooperation. The other thing that they really wanted to do is obviously go to contactless payment. And so we also rewarded people for going ahead and getting transit cards, that sort of thing. So it became a way that the county encouraged people to, from a public health perspective, to behave more responsibly when they were riding. And so we were able to make it through the COVID largely owing to this program that we did with the county, which did reward people for safe riding practices. But at the end of the day, what Velocia is all about, it's really about how you reward people how we really try to nudge people into new behaviors around their mobility. Obviously, at the end of the day, what we'd love to see is a very robust public transit system in Miami.
Absolutely.
And to do that, you really have to think about all the different ways that we move from point A to point B. So whether we're rewarding somebody to change the time they commute, rewarding somebody to have contactless payment, rewarding somebody to use multimodal, and communication becomes critical in this. And this is one of the reasons we were so interested in CITT, because I think Javier has always had the idea, and I think it's why you're with us, Cheryl, that ambassadors riding on public transit was a wonderful way to communicate both back to the county about the successes or the problems with public transit, and at the same time giving riders a voice, even if it's an indirect voice.
Sure. If you just started watching, this is Mobility Matters, presented by the CITT, Citizens Independent Transportation Trust, on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube, streaming directly from the Community News Network on the Miami Community Newspapers social media platforms. You can follow us on social media at GoCITT, the Transportation Trust, and hashtag CITT Ambassadors. And please remember to like us when you come to our page or follow us, when you get there. I'm Cheryl Mizell, your host, and also the CITT Ambassador Program Coordinator. And my guest is the co-founder of Velocia, Dr. Eldridge Birmingham. I like saying that. It's so interesting because I, when I met you, I just found you just to be such a, easygoing, very likable,
Thank you.
just, everyday kind of guy. And then I read your bio, and I'm going, oh my God, this guy's a scientist. He's got his PhD. He's gone to Cornell. It's just, and I'm just reading your writing. It's just such high quality writing. Then I dig down a little deeper, and I find out that you are, was an editor in your newspapers. So you got that background. I said, oh, no wonder he writes so well. He's had a lot of experience. So, but I just find
Very
you to be
sweet of you.
find you to be a very interesting and just, very pleasurable person, to speak with.
Thank you.
But yes, the CITT Ambassador Program is really an amazing opportunity, for me to connect the community with the program, to get people engaged and to find ways to help to improve the system. And right now, people are also very concerned about saving money, So this is with the rewards that are transportation rewards. And you can speak a little bit about that, about the rewards that are available when people sign up and become ambassadors.
Yeah, so,
When we actually officially launch the program. We're still in the beta testing mode right now, just to be clear. Sure.
Yeah, so, I think rewards provide a remarkable opportunity to rethink how we move from point A to point B. There's so many different ways that you can encourage people to do things slightly differently. And I think once they begin doing it, whether they're saving money, time, et cetera, it becomes a habit.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And as it becomes a habit for more and more people, everyone's going to recognize that Miami-Dade is a better place to live. You'll feel like you're moving more quickly. You'll feel like you're contributing less carbon to the atmosphere, less heat.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And there's a social equity piece of it as well. So let's just talk about it from a rewards perspective a little bit. Obviously, Mayor Levine Cava has been very strong about thinking about the ways that government can play a role in decreasing carbon emissions. And I think one of the things that she figured early on, which was really wonderful for me to hear as a scientist, is it's not only carbon, it's heat. And I think particularly in a place like Miami, we forget that heat is really a social problem. If you look at different parts of Miami-Dade, the parts that are treed versus the parts that are not treed, you have health consequences of that. So beating heat and beating carbon is important, but at the same time, thinking about it from a social equity perspective is important. So let me just talk about that from a rewards perspective for a moment, because it's one of the things that we're doing with CITT, and it's an example of how rewards can be tailored to particular needs. One of the things you'd like to do with rewards is, again, develop habits, get people in the habit of behaving in certain ways that are good for them, good for the environment, and good for the public. And so we developed something called a streak early on. The streak is that if you ride one day, you get a reward. It might be 10 cents. You ride a second day, you're going to get a second reward, another 10 cents. Third day, another 10 cents. All of a sudden on the fourth day, we double that. So you get 20 cents. And on the fifth day, we double it again, so you get another 20 cents.
Mm-hmm.
On the sixth and seventh day, we treble it.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of getting 20, now you're getting 30 cents.
They're hooked.
Right. But what's nice about that is that the people that depend on public transportation are the ones who are getting the highest rewards. So those people that only use it once or twice a week, they get a reward. They're being rewarded for their behavior, but not at the same level as the people who use it every day. And who are those people? Again, it's the people that treat us so well at Publix, treat us so well when we go into a pharmacy or anything like that. The people that are asked to work very standard hours, day in and day out, not the people that have the luxury of working from home. So in that sense, I think rewards is a very good way to give back to the people that are principally supporting public transit. As well, when you've got a group like Miami-Dade that, many of your viewers probably don't know that paper tickets or anything paper costs our county a lot of money. If we all go to paperless, I have an Easy Card. I use my Easy Card all the time. That saves the county money. So again, there's a reason for the county to reward people to go to paperless, for example. Again, if they can optimize something in transportation we call demand management, if we can manage the demand for public transit, we can be more efficient in how we deploy our buses, or rail, etc. Again, that's the sort of thing where you can reward people. You can say, if you can slightly shift your commuting time, we'll reward you to do that, and the payback, the return on investment, comes from better deployment of our hard assets,
Sure.
the buses, etc. So when it comes to CITT, what Cheryl and I and Carla and Javier have done is developed a program where the ambassadors themselves get rewarded. And there's two, first of all, they get rewarded by just joining the program. For those, so you listeners out there that are not part of this program, talk to Cheryl, go online, become part of the program. Because right away you'll get a reward. It's 1,400 velos. A velo is worth 1 penny. 1,400 velos is enough to, the day you get it, you can immediately convert that to a $5 Lyft coupon. So one of the things that we're trying to do is keep all of the rewards in the mobility space. So if you ride transit every day, you're going to be earning rewards. If you contribute to the CITT Ambassador Program, you're going to be earning rewards. And then you can convert them. You can convert them to ride on public transit. You can convert them to ride a spin scooter. You can convert them to ride a city bike. You can convert them to ride with Lyft. When Poseidon ferries are running, you can convert them to ride Poseidon ferries. It's really a remarkable ecosystem here in Miami-Dade, for transportation.
And you know, I love how easy it is to use the app. You just log in, and because I'm a beta tester as well, and you know, when you ride, you just have a really good, you know, feel that you're helping and you're contributing, and you want to give as much accurate information as possible. And but you make it easy because you can just go through and, you know, say which station I'm departing from, or whether I'm riding the Metro Rail or the, you know, the mover or bus or trolley, and then there's room for me to give feedback. So
Nice.
And I know from my exchanges with people who have been writing, who are interested in becoming ambassadors. You know, one of the things I've noticed about the people who are most passionate, they want to give the information that they think is going to really help make a difference. And, you know, they feel very committed and passionate about that. So this is for those who are, you know, those of you who are riding public transportation, and, you know.
You might as well get rewarded.
Yeah, you might as well get rewarded. I know you have things to say, and I know you have lots of things to say, because the ones I've been talking to, they have a lot to say. So
no, this is a
here's
great.
your chance.
This is really the lovely thing about CITT. So, you know, if we go back in time, I mean, Alice Bravo is no longer with the county, but she was under Mayor Minnis. And one of the things she used to say all the time is, I'd really love to have a communication tool where I felt like we were getting honest, good feedback from all of our riders. She said, too often what happens is we get the negative feedback but not the positive feedback. And I think what Cheryl and Javier, Carla, and others have done at CITT is created a new program where they're really asking the ambassadors to go out and do assessments and get rewarded for those assessments. And this is something that Alice always wanted to see, is how do we get people out there looking at the bus condition, the attitude of the drivers. What's the stop where they got on the bus or got on Metro Rail? What's it look like? Is it clean? Do I feel safe? How do I feel as I'm? So they're not actually interviewing other riders, but as a rider themselves, they're assessing conditions.
Correct.
And they're reporting back on how they feel. Yes, I feel safe on transit. Yes, the bus picked me up on time. These are things that are critically important to get out to the community, so the community recognizes that on average, Miami-Dade Transit does a wonderful job, CITT does a wonderful job, buses are in good condition, bus and drivers are wonderful, and we get real feedback from that. And again, our best ambassadors, or Cheryl's best ambassadors, they're Cheryl's ambassadors, get rewarded as a function of how often they report. So again, this streak idea that I talked about earlier, if they're riding every day and reporting, and they can submit up to 2 reports per day, 7 times a week. If they do that, by the end of the week, they've earned some real rewards sufficient
Sure.
to take a couple of Lyft rides, a couple of Uber rides, drive a spin scooter wherever they want, go out to Miami Beach, hop on a city bike, and ride around. So it's really excellent. And then they, in addition, if they actually promote what they're doing through CITT's social media connections, that's a whole nother avenue for
Exactly.
earning rewards.
That's right. And what he's talking about is if you will find the messages that are on our social media platform, CITT Ambassadors is the hashtag that's used, and share them, then you can get points as an ambassador.
Yeah, no, it's you'll be very, very surprised if you've ever been in any sort of reward program before. You'll be very surprised at the number of points you accumulate, how rapidly you accumulate them, and how easy it is to convert those into coupons that will help you move around Miami even more efficiently, or with having a lot more fun. I mean, hopping on a city bike and riding, 10 blocks, for me at least, is great fun.
You ride your bike? You ride a bicycle?
I do.
Oh, all right.
I scoot. I ride bikes.
Oh my God.
I've ridden Poseidon Ferry. I've done pretty much everything you can to earn
cool.
rewards on the platform.
Wow, how cool.
And just to give people a sense, I mean, currently, and I'm converting all the time, but currently in my wallet, my Velocia wallet, I've got 109,000 points. That's worth a little over $1,000.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that gives you
That's real.
Yeah, that's real. And
That's real.
I've spent quite a bit of it already. So that's not lifetime rewards.
So let me tell you, you can go to our webpage by visiting that using the QR code, taking a picture of it, or you can just go to miami-dade.gov/CITT-ambassador, or you can just search for CITT Ambassador, and we're going to come up. And you will see the sign up button, and once you sign up, you'll be notified once the online application goes up, and then you can complete that to become an ambassador. And you'll find my contact information there as well. Just also, we're also looking at some, right now it's only for people who are 18 and older, but we're planning to expand it to include, high schoolers. But we also want to make sure that we reach out to, every culture, every part of town, every age group. We want it to be diverse. So the only thing is that people just have to be able and be willing to use the app. So you gotta, gotta be willing to use that app, because that's the only way to report the information.
Yeah, and as Cheryl's already mentioned, it's very easy to use the app. So if you're a beta tester or ultimately become an ambassador, when you open the app, at the very top of your screen, we call them campaigns. The ways to win rewards are campaigns. There's a variety of campaigns, but the two CITT campaigns, if you're a CITT ambassador, come to the top of your Velocia page. And if you're riding a bus, you're riding the 120 in Miami Beach, for example, and you open it up, there's a very simple survey form that asks about 10 questions, and you just hit the answers to each one of them. You don't have to write anything. At the end, as Cheryl's already mentioned, if you want to also provide an observation, you can do that. But it's very simple to do that. And then the second campaign, as we've mentioned, is a social media campaign. Same thing, you open it up and you just click. There you're asked to download an image typically, but again, very easy. So while you're riding the bus, or while you're riding a trolley, or while you're riding Metro Rail, or while you're riding the People Mover, you can literally get on the app, and by the time you've gotten off, you've already earned rewards and money. And it's very simple.
And we're also going to have some focus groups along the way. So at some point in time, we'll have give points for people to participate in focus groups. And we're online training. So if you don't know how to use apps really well, but you want a little bit of help, we can help with that. But you got to be willing. But there is training that goes along with it. And for those who are in Miami-Dade County, it's really great if you participate. It makes the process a lot easier for us. Well, that's about it. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Sure,
Eldridge,
great to be
time
here.
went by. Where did the time go? We have so much more to talk about.
Well, it's been wonderful to be here, and it's great to be a partner with CITT. What you guys are doing is really excellent.
And it's a pleasure to work with you.
Thank you.
Well, if you missed part of the show, you can check back for the links. They'll be posted, and so you can watch it from the beginning. Special thanks to the co-founder of Velocia, Dr. Eldridge Birmingham. I'm Cheryl Mizell, your host, and CITT Ambassador Program Coordinator. Now, Javier Betancourt will be back with you for the next show in 2 weeks. And until then,